Section 0 of Men, Women, and Ghosts. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Little T. Men, Women, and Ghosts by Amy Lowell. Preface. This is a book of stories. For that reason, I have excluded all purely lyrical poems, but the word stories has been stretched to its fullest application. It includes both narrative poems, properly so called, tales divided into scenes, and a few pieces of less obvious storytelling, import in which one might say that the dramatis personae are air, clouds, trees, houses, streets, and such like things. It has long been a favorite idea of mine that the rhythms of vers libre have not been sufficiently plumped, that there is in them a power of variation which has never yet been brought to the light of experiment. I think it was the piano pieces of Debussy, with their strange likeness to short vers libre poems, which first showed me the close kinship of music and poetry, and there flashed into my mind the idea of using the movement of poetry in somewhat the same way that the musician uses the movement of music. It was quite evident that this could never be done in the strict pattern of a metrical form, but the flowing, punctuating rhythm of vers libre seemed to open the door to such an experiment. First, however, I considered the same method as applied to the more pronounced movements of natural objects. If the reader will turn to the poem A Roxbury Garden, he will find in the first two sections an attempt to give the circular movement of a hoop bowling along the ground, and the up and down elliptical curve of a flying shuttlecock. From these experiments, it is but a step to the following rhythm of music. In the Cremona violin, I have tried to give this flowing, changing rhythm to the parts in which the violin is being played. The effect is further heightened because the rest of the poem is written in the 7-line Chaucerian stanza, and by deserting the ordered pattern for the undulating line of vers libre, I hope to produce something of the suave, continuous tone of a violin. Again, in the violin parts themselves, the movement constantly changes, as will be quite plain to any one reading these passages aloud. In the Cremona violin, however, the rhythms are fairly obvious and regular. I set myself a far harder task in trying to transcribe the various movements of Stravinsky's 3 pieces grotesque for string quartet. Several musicians who have seen the poem think the movement accurately given. These experiments led me to believe that there is here much food for thought and matter for study, and I hope many poets will follow me in opening up the still hotly explored possibilities of vers libre. A good many of the poems in this book are written in polyphonic prose, a form about which I have written and spoken so much that it seems hardly necessary to explain it here. Let me hastily add, however, that the word prose in its name refers only to the typographical arrangement, for in no sense is this a prose form. Only read it aloud, gentle reader, I beg, and you will see what you will see. For a purely dramatic form, I know none better in the whole range of poetry. It enables the poet to give his characters the vivid, real effect they have in a play, while at the same time writing in the decor. One last innovation I have still to mention. It will be found in Spring Day, and more fully enlarged upon in the series Towns in Color. In these poems I have endeavored to give the color and light and shade of certain places and
Sample complete. Ready to continue?